What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm Britany Michelle, licensed beauty pro and texture educator. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for tuning in. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive on the topic of the silk press and heat damage. Be prepared to learn everything you've ever truly wanted to know, like what exactly is a silk press? What does it entail? How long should a silk press last? How often can you get it done? And I'm sure what many folks really want to know is there actually a cure to heat damage? So, like I said, I'll be doing a deep dive on this topic to really give you the insight that you've ever been wanting in regard to these topics. You'll want to make sure that you watch this video in its entirety. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's just start with the basics. What exactly is a silk press? So I can't speak for everybody's silk press. So in the beauty industry, people tend to use different terms in the ways that they particularly want to use different terms. But for me, as a licensed professional and specialist with textured hair, it is blow dryer and flat iron work. The whole point of a silk press is to achieve the silkiest finish. In order to truly achieve this, everything that I'm doing to the hair, using on the hair, and every technique that I'm using is all working together to ensure the silkiest, most frizz-free, longest lasting finish. For me, it all starts with the shampoo. Everything that I'm using, the shampoo, the conditioner, the deep treatment mask, the way that I'm deep conditioning the hair to truly infuse it with excellent moisture is all key to really getting the result that you want. What I feel most folks kind of don't know is that the key to the silkiest silk press, of course, among all the other things, is the blow dry. At the end of a silk press, you want the hair to feel soft and silk-like. So when doing a silk press, you definitely want to keep in mind everything that you're using as well as the techniques that you're using to ensure the best result possible. Now let's jump into how long a silk press should actually last. So my answer to that is always this: 2 weeks. And believe it or not, I actually have clients that push past the 2 weeks and make their silk press last longer, which I don't necessarily want you to do because I do encourage clients to deep condition weekly. And if you're watching this, I'm talking to you. How long your silk press lasts is going to depend on your lifestyle. If you're someone who lives an active lifestyle, if you sweat a lot in your scalp, if you take very hot, steamy showers often, these kinds of things, of course, if your hair isn't protected, is going to affect the longevity of your silk press. There are different things you can do to help preserve your silk press if you do live an active lifestyle, but ultimately you do want to steer clear from like extreme humid environments and excessive sweating. So for example, when you have a silk press, for those 2 weeks that you have them, maybe during those 2 weeks, you're not gonna go into the sauna, or you're just gonna take a hot shower instead of a hot steamy one. There are just certain things that you may need to tweak a little bit. So as a general answer, your silk press should last you a comfortable 2 weeks. So this next question is one that I get so often. Folks want to know how often they can get their silk press done, because let's be real, when you come in to get your silk press, you're loving the result, it feels so good. And the first thought is, okay, so how many times can I actually get this? Because I want to book it again. So the amount of times that one can get a silk press is going to depend on several different factors. Those being someone's texture, your current hair health, and whether or not the hair is chemically treated. So for example, if we're talking about texture, aka fine, medium, and coarse, Coarse hair, being naturally more resilient and having more cuticle layers, will be able to withstand a little bit more manipulation than, say, fine strands can. So someone getting 3 silk presses in a year may be completely fine with it and their hair isn't affected negatively at all. Whereas for someone else with fine strands, those 3 times are just way too many. So it is going to depend a little bit upon the texture of the hair, aka the thickness in diameter of the individual strand. Another thing to consider, of course, is the current hair health. Like, if your hair is already supremely dry, very brittle and damaged, getting silk presses often isn't really going to be ideal for that kind of hair. Whereas if the hair is in excellent health and it's just full of moisture, then a silk press happening a little bit more frequently is gonna be okay. Now, while I'm explaining this, I'm talking specifically about my particular silk press and the way I do my silk press. I feel like I have to stress that a little bit because not everybody's silk press is the same. Just as a side note, I can't tell you how many first-time clients will come in, we'll sit down and we'll have a consultation about their hair goals. And I can't tell you how many first-time clients come in with like heat damage horror stories or stories of times where they've gone to particular kinds of salons and after just one time they've experienced heat damage after like years of healthy hair. And it's like, not everybody's silk press is equal. And so I just want to stress that. To answer the question of how often can you get a silk press done, if a stylist you know that follows these healthy hair habits is doing the silk press, and if your hair is relatively healthy, and if you have, say, medium textured hair, on average, a silk press can happen once a quarter, making sure that the integrity of the hair is still intact so we don't incur any heat damage. Speaking of heat damage, what exactly is it? Let's break it down. So the way I like to explain this is there are actually layers to heat damage. And I like to break it up into 3 phases. Phase 1 heat damage, phase 2, and phase 3. You do not want to get to phase 3. If you want me to do a deep dive on the different phases of heat damage, let me know in the comments that that's what you want, and be sure that you're subscribed and you're tuned in for the next video. So when it comes to heat damage, what's actually happening is essentially a breakdown of the keratin bonds in the hair, and essentially a loss of elasticity, which especially for textured hair, aka wavy, curly, coily, we definitely do not want. We don't want it ever. So depending on which phase of heat damage you're in, the hair is pretty much scorched, it's burned, and it just is very dry. When the hair is heat damaged, it's an extreme loss of moisture. I love to use this example with clients, and I've used it in a few classes that I've taught. It's like one of my favorite analogies. So when you're thinking of elasticity, when you're thinking of like moisture in the hair, you want to think of a really healthy leaf. Like when you look at a green leaf, it's green, it's thriving, it's healthy. When you go to bend a green leaf, like any which way you bend it, it's not really gonna tear initially. It's just so full of moisture. Therefore, it just is very flexible and you can kind of like bend it around. Whereas if you were to take a leaf that was completely dry, like just think of like a fall autumn leaf that's dry, it's brown, it's completely lacking or void of moisture. If you were to take it and try to bend it around, it is immediately going to snap and break. You kind of want to keep that in mind when it comes to the moisture in the hair. The more moisture exists within the hair strand, the more flexibility and elasticity you'll experience, making it less prone to breakage. Whereas if you take really dry, brittle hair, any little bit of manipulation that you do to it will cause it to snap and break. You want your hair to to be like the green leaf. You want it to have flexibility so that no matter how you are manipulating it or combing or brushing or twisting or whatever you're doing to it, that it's able to bounce back. So when we're thinking about heat damage, and if you've ever experienced heat damage, or if heat damage is something that you're experiencing now, you're probably wanting to know, is there a cure? Like, is there something that we can do to just like bring our hair back to life, to get our curls back and just forget it ever happened? When textured hair, aka wavy, curly, coily, reaches a point where there's absolutely no elasticity of the curl. In other words, if it went completely bone straight from heat damage, unfortunately, that result is permanent. And the only way to get your curls back is to simply just grow your hair out and slowly cut away the heat damage. While there isn't necessarily a way to reverse any phase of heat damage, there is a way to maintain relatively healthy hair that has been compromised by the heat. I know of so many excellent natural remedies that can be used to help infuse the hair with excellent moisture. Some of my favorite natural ingredients include aloe vera. It is amazing. I've been singing the praises of aloe vera for a very long time. And of course, there are products out there that can help to prevent heat damage from occurring in the first place. Now, that concludes today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it answered all of your questions. Have you ever had a silk press? What was your experience like? And how long did it last you? Or have you ever experienced heat damage? What was that experience like? Did you get rid of it? And how did you go about doing that? Let me know in the comments section below. I honestly would love to hear some of your experiences. If you want more in-depth information on how to truly achieve healthier, longer, more hydrated, natural hair, be sure to check out both my ebook and my 3-month regimen packed with all of the information that you'll need to achieve the results you want. If you're not following me on social media, I'll leave all my social platforms in the description box for you. I've been really active on Threads, so if you have a Threads account, follow me there. If you're into motivational, inspirational content, don't forget to subscribe on your way out. And of course, I will see you in my next video. Bye.